So the Golden State Warriors are really struggling this season. They're currently sitting at 17 and 18 on the year. They just moved up to the 10th seed. Luckily, the Lakers have been worse than they are. But the Warriors, look, they are a team that is in win now mode. And they have two very talented, very young players in Johnathan Kuminga and Moses Moody, who they are probably in their best interest to move if your goal really is to try to capitalize on Steph Curry and the situation that the Warriors are in, right? You're in win now. You have Steph, Clay, Draymond. You owe it to them to do whatever you can to try to put yourself in the best position to be a contender. You only have so many more years of Steph Curry playing like a top 10 player. You only have so many more years with this core. And if you're not going to do whatever it takes to go all in, then at that point, you might as well just trade everybody. Trade Clay, trade Steph, trade everybody, right? So that way, at least you can set the reset button, right? Build around Kuminga and Moody and, all your young core guys and go that direction. But to kind of be like this 1 foot in, 1 foot out type situation that you're in, it just doesn't really make a lot of sense. And you're seeing frustrations from everywhere. Chris Paul just fractured his hand, right? So that's another thing to pile on to the Golden State Warriors. But now you have reports Johnathan Kuminga is unhappy and is not satisfied in any manner about the role that he's playing. He's been very inconsistent in and out, and he's playing excellent basketball for them. But the Warriors don't seem super sold on playing him. Moses Moody's getting DNPs and all that stuff. He's expressed his frustration. You're already seeing the young guys boil over because they want the opportunity and they want the chance to prove themselves. And in the games in which they do play, they're excellent. So they're looking at it as we're playing good basketball. We are contributing to whatever little success we have when we're on the court, and yet we can't find consistent rotation. And it's not like we're, number 3 seed in the West. We're terrible. So they're looking at it as like, why not play us? Why not see if you could use us as a workhorse to try to go and turn this season around? But Steve Kerr seems very adamant about not doing so. So at this point, again, it's in the Warriors' best interest to take these two guys, take whatever other salaries to match. There are plenty of teams that would love to have Johnathan Kuminga and Moses Moody on their roster. Take these two guys, ship them to a team, and get pieces that can help you win now. Help you put yourself in an opportunity to potentially compete for an NBA championship this year. And even if not this year, you kind of get your core pieces together. It's like, okay, now we're just kind of filling around the edges, and then let's go make that push. But the first team that comes to mind is the Toronto Raptors. They need to unload Pascal Siakam. One of the teams that was in the race for Pascal Siakam was the Sacramento Kings. They have now pulled out of the Pascal Siakam trade, right? Now, there are concerns about Siakam, right? One, his shooting has been atrocious this year. He's shooting around 29%. But the other biggest thing is he is said to be wanting to enter free agency regardless of where he's traded to. That no matter where he's traded to, he wants to go to free agency because he would get more money in the open market. Now, that doesn't mean that the Warriors, if they were to acquire his bird rights, all stuff, that they wouldn't, and especially deep pockets, give him the max dollar, the max amount. And that doesn't necessarily mean that he's going to leave and go elsewhere, right? He'd have to go to a team that has the money to give him a max deal, which, most of those teams are going to be rebuilding teams, right? So it's like, does that make sense to go and pay Pascal Siakam a bunch of money? Not just that, but does he want to be on Does he want to be on a team like Detroit or something, right? Where you could be in an opportunity like the Warriors, if the Warriors were to trade for him. Would he really leave the Warriors? I don't really see that happening. You never know, right? It's definitely a risk, definitely a gamble. But if you're the Warriors at this point, you're kind of in that position. Like, what else is out there that makes sense that you could go and acquire and get that could instantly make you better, right? Pascal Siakam would be basically an upgraded version to Draymond Green at this point. He gives you a guy that can kind of play in that Wiggins role when you won the chip in the 22 season, right? Where he can just go and get buckets and apply rim pressure, make plays, defend the best player on the other team, right? The Warriors wouldn't be as concerned with his lack of three-point shooting, because you have Steph and Clay and various other guys that are knockdown shooters that can really kind of offset that, you'd be looking at Siakam as like, hey, this is a guy that can be a legitimate 3 and D, well, not so much the 3, but the D part, as well as can make plays, and Steph and Clay and the others can play off ball with him, and he can act as that secondary playmaker. You can play him alongside Draymond, play him in that small ball center. You could play him alongside pretty much anybody, right? Especially if you can figure it out and keep Wiggins also, right? If you could work out some type of deal, and put yourself in a position to where it's like, okay, well, now we have just this versatile, switchable lineup, right? Maybe have Dre at the 5, you have Siakam at the 4, Wiggins at the 3, Clay at the 2, Steph at the 1. That could be pretty interesting. Another real option that I think that, sticking with the Toronto theme, the Warriors definitely could use a center also, right? So if you could you get Pascal Siakam and maybe figure out a way to get like a Jakob Poeltl? That could be really nice, right? He gives you another guy, or even just go get Jakob Poeltl, right? Now, I don't know if I'd trade Kuminga. I may be willing to part with Moody, but Kuminga, I think you could get a lot more value for. But Jakob Poeltl would be nice, right? Now, obviously, he's not like a floor stretching big, but that's fine. Again, you have Steph, you have Clay, you have Pod, you have guys that are capable of knocking down the 3 ball. Even Saric has been doing well knocking down the 3. I just look at it as like, go, if you can, go get a Pascal Siakam, go get a Jakob Poeltl, right? Maybe you're trading Kevon Looney, right? Maybe that's something you're unloading. You're adding him and Wiggins and Kuminga and Moses Moody, and you're going, because obviously Toronto could use another backup big. Now they still do have big men. They have Kalogo, and that's something that they could look at and go, okay, well, we could grow and develop him a little more. But even if you don't, right, and even if you're like, okay, well, we'll trade you Siakam, we'll trade you Jakob Poeltl, but we want Kevon Looney, well, then perfect, right? You could go with Kevon Looney. Now you got your center that, he can make plays out of the post. Again, give you another playmaker. His lack of shooting ability isn't a concern because, again, you have plenty of shooting. You have plenty of guys that can knock down the 3 ball, but now you have a legitimate, sizable center. Go get Pascal Siakam also, right? Imagine a front court of Siakam, Jakob Poeltl, as well as Draymond Green, who Draymond Green has been shooting the 3 ball well this year. And then you have Steph and Clay as their ability to knock down shots, right? I think that would be a solid approach, right? And kind of a win-win for everybody. The Raptors get more young pieces that help now and are also cornerstones of the future. The Warriors, they get 2 guys that help them in the win now, in this moment, in this situation. You get that other kind of star, that other complementary piece, and Pascal Siakam. Then you get that big man that you've needed for some time, and a Jakob Poeltl. I know it'd be frustrating to lose like a Kevon Looney, but still, I mean, if you go and you win a championship, I don't think anyone's going to be like, oh man, we should have kept Kevon Looney, right? It's like, man, Jakob Poeltl gives you some real size. Now, maybe there's something better that comes on the horizon. Who knows? We'll see between now and the trade deadline, but I think you could do worse, right? And again, like it's not even just so much about like what's available, right? Like let's say Donovan Mitchell becomes available. Is Donovan Mitchell the answer, right? Like, because one of the big issues that the Warriors have is just the lack of size. If you go get a Pascal Siakam and a Jakob Poeltl, well, now you just fixed your size issue, right? Because now you got a 6'8" Pascal Siakam, you got a 7-foot Jakob Poeltl, and you got a 6'7" Draymond Green or whatever with Steph and Clay. I don't know. I think that would be the best approach for the Warriors, right? I think that gives them a real, just legitimate center that you can throw the ball down to. allow him to go to work in the post at times, right? Especially if, you're in a little bit of a slump or you just need to generate easy offense. Like I mentioned, Jakob Poeltl is a guy that can make plays out of the post, so you can run your inside-out game. You have Draymond Green, Pascal Siakam. We know he's more than capable of making plays and doing things. And then if you're the Raptors, if you get Moses Moody, like Kevon Looney would be solid, right? Kind of take on the Precious role, but in a souped-up charge way. But you could also look at it as like, okay, well, now we have basically a starting five of Emmanuel Quickley, RJ Barrett. Then you could have Scotty Barnes, Johnathan Kuminga, and then you could go with, again, either a Kevon Looney if you wanted to, or you could go with a Koloko, right? Either way, keep the young guy. Or maybe you're packaging other pieces and looking to go get a more just maybe development center or maybe a more stable center, because it looks like they're trying to win now. It looks like they're trying to, figure out how can we kind of not be terrible, still be competitive, right? But still have a young core. They kind of want to be in the middle, but with the upside. So to me, this type of deal would give them that. You get two guys that are good enough now that can help you now, but can also help you for the future and grow with this team. And now you got your core and you got one of the most star potential, right? All of those things, I think, to me, that would be kind of a win-win, right? Toronto, they're in a position to where it's like, okay, well, we need to maintain at least some level of winning. We don't want to completely tank, but we still want young talent that can help us now in the future. So the draft picks don't really make sense. Obviously, the Warriors can include a pick or whatever if they have to, but they want players that help now and the future. Boom, you get that in Moody, get that in Kuminga, and then the Warriors, they get Pascal Siakam and Jakob Poeltl. Again, whatever salaries or whatever that you have to figure out, you figure that out, or you get one or the other, whatever, right? But anyway, as always, this is a discussion, so I pass the question on to you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? Do you like this idea? Would you want the Warriors? Yeah, go get Pascal Siakam, go get Jakob Poeltl, right? Give up what you have to. And look, the Warriors would have no problem getting to the salaries, right? You have Chris Paul's contract, which the Raptors could take on and just buy out or whatever, right? So you'd have Chris Paul's contract, or you keep him as a veteran for the young guys, but you'd have Chris Paul's contract, right? You take on Andrew Wiggins if you needed to, Kevon Looney's contract, right? Kuminga, and then Moody. So the Warriors could get there. It's just, are the Raptors willing to do that? And what will it take? Obviously, you want it to be within reason. But anyway, again, love to hear your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me out a lot. Lets me enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. If you're not subscribed to the channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate you all. See you in the next one. Thank you.